There's multiple ways to export your emails from Figma and then upload them to Klaviyo, but most of them are just wrong. And if you follow these bad practices, you will have your emails going to spam, you will have bad image quality, and also very long load times, which can affect your conversions negatively. So in this video, I'm going to break it down what is the right process to upload your emails to Klaviyo so we can learn it once and for all without sacrificing the quality or the whole email performance. So let's get right into the video. Again, it's going to be a complete guide. I'm going to show you how to do it and also explain why I'm doing it this way rather than any other way. So let's get into Klaviyo because I feel like this is the first step to get started. I just want to show you the really three main ways to upload your email campaigns. I believe, you could probably mix them all, but ultimately, in my opinion, there are really three main ways to do it. So first one is using Klaviyo text blocks. Second one is using one slice as the whole email. And third one is using multiple slices of your images. I'm going to show you what these look like more or less, okay? So let's assume this is our regular, template builder. And the first way to do it is to just kind of drag and drop the, text blocks and then image blocks and kind of mix them, like pretty much mix all of them, right? So if you were to follow it this way, let's try to maybe upload this email because it's a bit shorter, right? So what you would do in Figma is go to the, like this toolbar and click on slice or just press S on your keyboard. And let's say, we just want to use the first way to do it, which again would be something like this, right? So we have an export, we can export it, and then you would pretty much export it. I mean, it's as simple as that. And then you would select an image, just pretty much get the whole thing to upload it, right? Just upload the slice. We would upload it, and then for the text block, we would pretty much be adding it directly in Klaviyo. So what you would normally do is, click on this, copy the color, so so you have the same hex code. Then you would obviously need to center the text. You would need to find the right font, right? Okay, so this font is missing. So it would be most people, or like in all caps, most people get candy, right? And then you would also like copy the color name for the font, right? And then you would also need to match the font. Like normally you could upload it, just by clicking add font and either use one from the Google fonts or upload it as Adobe font or just like self-hosted font from your website. This one is Ilarion, so I don't believe it's in Google. I believe it's the fully custom font. But for the sake of this video, let's assume that this font is Arial, right? Whatever. And you would do it like that, okay? Then obviously you would need to make sure that these look exactly the same. So you would need to, make it bold. Then you would need to play with the spacing, both vertical and then horizontal as well. So let's do maybe 200 to 50, 300. Okay, let's see, 300, right? And then you would do character spacing, maybe, maybe -5. Okay, I can do minus, I believe. I can do minus. Okay, never mind. So yeah, this is what it would look like, right? And I mean, it's still like fairly similar. Obviously, I did like very quickly. So like normally, you would add more padding, right? You would make the padding 0 here because there's need to have it. The top and bottom padding, you would make it like 30, maybe even 40. Then you would also need to display it on, desktop only, because if you display it on mobile, it's gonna look pretty bad and this is gonna be the same. So you would make it desktop only block. Then you would go to display, mobile only. And I mean, we just kind of keep playing with it so it looks the same on both devices. And now this is like an okay way to do it, but I don't like it for two reasons. First one is like, first of all, it takes a lot of time just to like do all of this, and make sure it looks good for both devices. Second reason for that is that you won't be able to make it look as good as in Figma, right? Another reason is that some people just don't have the font that you will have if it's a custom font. So it's still gonna go back to the, to the fallback font, which is the very basic font. And again, it might look a bit worse. If, for example, like a section like this, it would need to be an image anyways. So like if you have, parts of the image that are gonna be in a different font and then all of the other copy is gonna be with the fallback font or the basic font, it's just gonna look bad, right? And the other reason, which is the most important one in my opinion, is total email size. So if I were to do multiple, text blocks for all of this, let's just maybe clone it for the sake of this, video, just to show you. Okay, so this doesn't increase, but if you were to actually add lots of text, like all of this text and keep on adding it, keep on adding it, keep on adding it with all of the images, it would have like huge email size. And big image size, big size emails can end up getting clipped. An email getting clipped is pretty much having like, like an email being cut off, like right in the middle, and then it would say like, like view the whole message by clicking here or something like that. So you don't want to do this because again, that would probably result in you getting your image clipped. It is also very, very bad for deliverability. So the first way, which I don't recommend really, is using text block, or like block builder drag and drop in Klaviyo just to kind of do all of this. Even for the product sections, I usually prefer to do image slices as like product sections, mainly because they just look so much better than the ones designed in Klaviyo. You can customize them more, even something like this, right? Like normally I would not be able to do it in Klaviyo, just because of like how it's designed. I would need to have like one image, then shop now, and that's it. So again, you don't really want to do this. Now, the second way to go about, exporting your email is pretty much slicing it or uploading it as one slice. So I would take this whole email, right? Even with the footer, I'll take this whole email, export it. Okay, maybe we're gonna explain a bit, a bit more later on. But for now, let's just export this whole email, and we have it, 345 kilobytes, whole email. That's it. Okay, so you would take it, you would upload it to Klaviyo without changing anything, and this is it. Okay. Now, the problem with this approach is that if you do it this way, and obviously, we need to change the font of the footer, stuff like that, but like, it doesn't matter for now. Now, the problem with this is that this is a fairly big, file size, right? And what usually happens, and I mean, it doesn't happen on desktop, it most likely is going to happen on mobile. But again, you should still be optimizing for this because most of your people are going to be seeing emails on mobile. But if you upload the whole image as one slice, it's gonna have very, very long load time. And I mean, if someone has like the best internet speed in the world, it will load like right away. But some people, like, you need to be aware, I think there's some studies I read somewhere that actually a lot of people don't have a very good internet connection. So like the email will keep loading for quite a lot of time, okay? So you may be like, okay, so the way to go about it then would be still maybe decreasing the email size, like for example, I use squash.app, so maybe this. And I'm like, okay, but if you look at it, it's gonna be, pretty blurry text, right? Which is not ideal. So which brings me to my next point, which is how to, export it the right way. Now, we designed all of our emails as 600 width, but when we do export, I always make it 2x PNG, okay? So I exported this 2x PNG, right? And just like bear this in mind, like when you're looking at this email, this is before, this is after, and just kind of you can look at how, the text is actually pretty blurry, right? Like especially in some cases, you can clearly see it's like actually quite blurry, right? Which is not ideal. So this is why I do export in the like 2x PNG, because then even if I, like use this suppression tool, it's still gonna have fairly crispy text. And I mean, you can see there's like not that much difference. Like, of course, if you were to like do a giga big zoom, like, yeah, you would see a difference, like obviously it's visible, but trust me, nobody's going to zoom in your emails that much. Like this is how they're gonna read them or like see them. They look crispy, like they honestly look very, very crispy. You can't see a difference. And I mean, if you can, then like you're probably, like you have great eyes, like the best eyes in the world, okay? But you can barely see any difference. So again, you could probably do this, but again, then the problem becomes having the big email size or like image size, which is not ideal. The initial one has 353 kilobytes, this one has 280, so it's a bit less by 70 while getting pretty much the same quality. But again, the main problem with this approach is that you're pretty much, like you're forcing people to have them load the full email before seeing anything. And if the email size is too big, which I believe 400 kilobytes is still okay, but like for example, this longer email, which I have here on purpose because like these convert very well, even though they're longer. If you have this one super long email and you export it as a as PNG to X, then it becomes like a very, very big file, okay? It's 3 megabytes. And even if I go ahead and, just use the suppression, it's still gonna be 453 kilobytes, which is a lot. And you have to keep in mind that if the image is not loading for people, the first thing they are gonna see when they open the email is your only text block in the email, which is unsubscribe section. So as you can imagine, it's not the best customer experience. So you don't want to do this. And again, I used to be doing it because it has a very good reason for doing so, which is having a very nice ratio of design-based element and then plain text or HTML only element, right? Then we used to do one slice only, have a lot of copy in the footer as the mission statement, and that would be kind of like a trick that was getting us into the primary tab for the majority of the time, and also the total size of the email is quite small. But again, the UX is just not worth it because people will need to wait to get the whole image loaded, and they're just gonna either like bounce off because they won't be able to see anything, or they will be just kind of seeing the unsubscribe section first, which is not ideal, right? This is also why I'm not usually a big fan of having GIFs right away in your header, because if your GIF is the first thing that people need to load, they're gonna see everything else, or they're gonna probably see the footer first and then this part and then the GIF, which again is not ideal. So if you're using GIFs, ideally you want to have them below your above default section. So even if it loads a bit longer, first of all, people don't see it's loading because they already see above default content, and secondly, they're gonna see some other content instead. So now that brings me to my final version, which is what we're doing right now. And also like okay, so the way we're doing it right now is using just multiple slices. It's really as simple as that. So normally you would slice the whole image. What we do right now is slicing the images based on the sections, right? So usually I like to export above default section separately. So this is honestly just up to you if you will do it like this or if you will do it like this. I personally think I prefer this one because it shows the product, right? So we would have it like this, and again, you would do 2x PNG exported. Then you do the same. You slice another part, which would be pretty much the rest of the email, okay? So this is like very, very important. Just to remember that always export your above default section as one slice. So then it loads very, very fast. If you look at this, if we suppress it, it's gonna be 137 kilobytes, which is super, super small, because if you remember, the initial version was 350 kilobytes, okay? So then you just upload the compressed, obviously you need to compress, right? So you export it from Figma, 2x quality, PNG, you go through scores.app, you upload the PNG file, and you don't change any settings. It will come off as, quality 75% and JPEGs, but we found that this is like the sweet spot, to be honest, for having the high quality email while having crispy text, but also decreasing the size of the, image actually quite significantly. So again, this is how you would do it. And this way, again, like we're gonna see this first part of the email, and the second one is gonna be, 100 something kilobytes as well. And then when people open it, it's still gonna load fairly quickly. Total email size is only 20 kilobytes. And again, if someone opens that, they're gonna see the whole above default section loaded into Klaviyo right away. So even if, the rest of the email would be loading super long, it does not matter, because the only thing they see is gonna be the header. And there's like sweet bonus for this video, you can also remove the margin top. So we are also like, adding an extra 50 pixels, for your above default section, so people just see more when they open the email, right? You can clearly see right now it's just way more stuff visible right there. Instead, if we did, the 50 pixel margin top, right, we couldn't see the bottom of the bottles. If we remove it, we can. But yeah, pretty much this is how I upload the emails. And I know you might be asking like, okay, what about deliverability? We've really run all of these 3 ways to upload emails to Klaviyo. We've been testing deliverability quite extensively, and this pretty much thing compared to one slice does not have a big difference in the performance. I mean, actually, we're getting pretty much the same deliverability. So like, you just, something for you to remember, that usually deliverability comes down to having the good domain reputation, sender history, and so on, rather than using some, tricks. And the first version using text blocks is just not perfect, because again, you can get email clipped very easily and people won't be able to see how to do it. Now, another thing is that if you have longer emails, you could just use multiple slices instead of 2. So again, following the example, we would just do the above default section or the header exported. Then you export, for example, this element, right? Pretty simple, which would be second slice. Then you can export third element, which would be this slice, right? Just make sure they're actually, fitting quite well. And then you would also export, this element, which would be the last one, fourth one, I believe. And then usually, when we have clients that we're working with on a monthly basis, we already have footer always like in our template library. So that's exported as a separate file. But this is pretty much how you would do it. And then the upload follows the same. So export, 2x quality, PNG, export it, upload to scores.app, and then go ahead and upload it to Klaviyo. So again, it looks very, very good because you can design the email fully in Figma. You can just do way more stuff with it. Like, for example, something like this, you wouldn't be able to do it in Klaviyo like ever. And this is very nice infographic. Even you could run it as an ad, to be honest, like a static ad. So yeah, this is how you really upload emails to Klaviyo. Again, it's been proven to work for all of our clients. We're getting great deliverability and emails look absolutely amazing. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you are looking for someone to fully manage your emails and get your designs, like for example these, there's gonna be a link below this video. You can book a free call with me, see if we're a good fit. If we are not a problem at all. But if you are, I can let you know how we can handle your brand's emails as well. But other than that, I really hope you enjoyed this. I hope it's gonna be a helpful video, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.